Cell phones. One of the most widespread technologies is the cellular phone, or cell phone for short. There were an estimated 6 billion cell phone subscribers globally in 2011, representing 87% of the world's population. While many people use them, few know much about cell phones. How do they work? How long have they been around? And is it true that cell phones are a health hazard? How they work? Fixed, that is, non-cellular phones are connected to telephone networks through a physical medium, often metal wires or fiber optic cables. By contrast, cell phones connect to networks through the use of invisible radio waves. This is why cell phones do not need to be plugged into telephone line jacks. Radio waves are controlled by the federal government, which licenses certain radio frequencies for use by cell phone companies called providers. Cell phone providers build computerized base stations, the cell phone towers you see around town, to broadcast radio waves and coordinate cell phone calls. However, there are far more cell phone subscribers than there are radio frequencies with which to transmit their calls. How do cell phone providers solve this problem? Simply put, they recycle frequencies. The frequency used to carry the cell phone call you made this morning was probably being used by many other people in your city. The reason why their calls did not interfere with yours is because those people were not in your cell. Think of your city as being divided into many small hexagonal chunks of space called cells, as in the diagram below. They may be small, around a mile across, or large, up to 12 miles across. Each cell has a set of frequencies assigned to it, and those frequencies are further divided among the base stations within the cells. To reduce the risk of radio interference, cells that share the same set of frequencies may not be contiguous. When a phone enters a cell's area of coverage, it sends a message to the nearest base station. This message contains the identity and location of the cell phone's owner. When someone dials the cell phone's number, a signal is routed through the base station to the phone, causing it to ring. Answering the phone causes the base station to assign a small segment of its available frequencies called a circuit to handle the call. Cell phone users may move from one cell to another during a call, perhaps while riding on a bus. The result is a procedure called a handoff. As the name suggests, a handoff involves the old base station, the source, passing the call to a base station in the new cell, the target. When a handoff is successful, the transition happens so quickly that users do not even notice it. However, a handoff may fail, resulting in a temporary disruption in the conversation or even the termination of the call. Thus, the freedom of movement afforded by a cell phone also leads to one of the most common and irritating problems experienced by cell phone users. History. Surprisingly, the concept of the portable phone is almost as old as the telephone itself. In 1906, a mere 30 years after Alexander Graham Bell secured a patent for the telephone, Charles E. Alden claimed to have invented a vest pocket telephone. While Alden's phone was probably nothing more than speculation, it demonstrates that inventors saw the potential for cell phones long before the technology had advanced enough to make this possible. The first true mobile telephone call was made from a car in 1946. It was routed through Bell Systems' mobile telephone service, an ancestor of today's cellular networks. The telephone equipment used in the system was not handheld since the phones weighed 80 pounds each. They used bulky, unreliable vacuum tubes rather than the tiny microcircuits in today's cell phones. In 1973, Motorola developed the first handheld mobile phone. The initial calls on this phone were made by a lead researcher on the project, Martin Cooper, as he walked around the streets of New York City. Cooper's calls must have been somewhat uncomfortable, however, since the phone weighed 2 pounds. Imagine holding a 2-pound weight up to your ear for more than a few minutes at a time. Appropriately enough, this first cell phone was nicknamed the Brick. It sold for an astonishing $3,995. Since the 1970s, cell phone technology has substantially improved. Cell phones are now small enough to fit in the palm of one's hand and weigh only a few ounces. Moreover, they cost much less than Motorola's Brick. Even better, today's smartphones are essentially handheld computers capable of running all manner of sophisticated software applications. It is possible to surf the web and even watch entire movies on a smartphone. Risk. Given cell phones' convenience and multitude of uses, it is no wonder that most of the world's population uses them. Nevertheless, cell phones are not without their detractors. Some critics charge that cell phones cause cancer. A few studies indicate that heavy cell phone users over 30 minutes a day are at higher risk of developing brain tumors over a 10-year period. However, other researchers cast doubt on these findings by noting that the dramatic increase in cell phone use in recent decades has not been accompanied by increasing occurrence of brain tumors. While it is unclear if cell phone causes cancer, it is clear that they cause car accidents. According to the United States Department of Transportation, drivers who use cell phones are 4 times as likely to be involved in a car crash that results in physical injury. Worse, drivers who send or receive text messages are 23 times as likely to be involved in a serious car accident. As a result, states have passed laws restricting cell phone use in cars. Texting while driving is against the law in 39 states, while 10 states ban talking on a cell phone while driving.